So we look at the definition of values. Values is not a concept that came today. It has been there with us. Yes, from time immemorial you are told behave like this, kuwa na maadili na kadhalika. Tunaongea juu ya maadili ya kitaifa, lakini tumekuwa na maadili in our society since time immemorial. Then we are going to look at the various categories of values. We will look at the present situation. Where are we as a country in terms of values practice? Then we look at the constitutional provisions on national values. Values are not just existing in a vacuum. Values are well grounded in the Constitution. So values are in the what is it called? Our law. It's actually within our law. Then we have national values and principles of governance. We are going to zero to the national values and see what are these national values. And already from the discussion that we have had in the morning, makes my work very easy this afternoon. I have highlighted that why values are critical in public policy formulation. We have to get it, because when I looked at the objective of the mentorship program, it was about training future policy makers. So we want to see why is the discussion on values given a lot of emphasis. To tell you that every ministry in government, it has integrated national values and principles of governance in the performance contract. It has been given a weight. So we want to see why then, why is it a critical question in areas of discussion in this country? And then we are going to see, I can't finish this presentation before we discuss your role at the institutional level and your role as an individual, because an individual is very critical. We cannot be left out in the national values practice in this country. Then that is the actually brief outline of the presentation, and I want us to think about this. Don't mind about the number of slides. I'm telling you, I'm going to give a speech. So I'm not going to dwell on every corner and full stop and semicolon. So I want us to ponder over this. If wealth is lost, nothing is lost. If health is lost, something is lost. If character is lost, everything is lost. The best of all things is character. And character is informed by the values you hold. So that is why it comes out very clear. And somebody says that a flower is incomplete without its fragrance. Similarly, an individual is incomplete without strong moral values. And actually that makes the question of values critical in this country. That you can have flowers. I know you are young people and you like, which day is this that you buy flowers for your beloved at the significant? Which day is this? It is Valentine's Day. I don't think you take flowers plastic. Why do you think we have a lot of live flowers along the street? Because they have fragrance, isn't it? You want your significant other to actually smell the rose flower. So we are saying that a flower is incomplete without its fragrance, and therefore an individual who is without values is actually incomplete. And then finally, therefore, we can conclude by saying that a life lived without values is therefore a life that is wasted. That it doesn't matter how many degrees you will hold in this country. If you are not a person of values, actually values are soft skills. This is what was being discussed here by our able presenter in the morning when he was telling you about transiting from school to the workplace. This is what is checked, and anybody who has participated in actually interviews, the soft values, the soft skills, they take a big proportion, because everybody will come with a first class, another one super first class, whereby mtu amegonga all the marks, A's, but in other countries we have A+. Where I went for my masters, we had A+. So where in Kenya, mtu amepata A's. So what actually distinguishes you that you get a job? It is the values that you hold. So that's why we are saying, if you are a person without values, it doesn't matter how many papers you are going to make from this university or the other universities. It is you will not get anywhere. So therefore, values become a critical question for discussion at all levels of the society in this country. So that is it. Then we want to look at, I want to involve you even if time is not with us. Then what are values? 1 second only. What are values? Can somebody tell us what values? What do you understand by the term values? I want to be a bit academic. You know, you cannot run away from that. What we need to understand this concept before we talk about national values. Can somebody tell us what values are? Yes. Very good. We can see a lot of patriotism in her. Thank you.
Values are moral principles that guide us.
Very well said. I not, because of time, I may not take other questions. So values are actually standards that guide us. Without values, you will move to any direction. But when you have values, they are like a beacon. They tell you, go here, go there, don't step here, don't step there. So they are our standards, and therefore values are important and lasting beliefs or ideals shared by members of a culture about what is good or bad, desirable or undesirable. Without standards, you may not know that you are wrong. Even the Bible clearly, for those who are Christians, the Bible gives us the 10 commandments, isn't it? So when you want to steal your exam, there is a voice that comes to you because you have read the Bible, isn't it? Don't steal, isn't it? Don't steal. Those are values in the Bible. When you want to commit adultery somewhere behind the streets of Kabarak, there is a voice that comes to you and tells you, don't do this. God is watching you, isn't it? So what we are saying, values are actually, they are standards. They tell you when you are hiding somewhere and you want to do something wrong, there is a voice that tells you this is not acceptable in this society. Is that true? So values are actually our standards. Then we have categories of values. I thought this presentation cannot be complete without taking through various categories of values. We have individual values. I didn't do a lot of literature on this because I thought I can just explain. Individual values are the values you hold as a person, and they define who you are. If you want, each one of us here is distinct because of the values. Even the way we do our hairstyle, the way I've done mine, it tells somebody about my values. The way we are dressed here, every family has a way of doing things, and therefore they have laid down their standards. You'll find that in some families, a father will pray before the family goes to sleep. In some places, you just go eat and everybody disappears to his or her room. So we have values that define how a family behaves. We have standards. We have religious and spiritual values. I know we come from various orientations, and actually our character, our behavior, the way we do things is defined by our religious values. Our cultural, societal values, every society, all of us come from different cultural backgrounds, and actually our behavior is defined. And that is why you find upon admission of students to the university, the first day you meet in class, before they are modeled and they are told this is the direction to go, as maybe Kabarak University, like Kippra University community, everybody comes with his or her own orientations. So we say that sometimes we need to tolerate those people because of cultural diversity. Let us tolerate them. And when you come also from your cultural background, please, what you bring into the society, for example, the learning institution, bring what builds, not what brings down the institution. Because we have realized that there are some cultural values that actually impact negatively on our development. Then we have institutional, every organization has values. I believe some of you have either gone for internship, and at the entrance of every organization, you see, what do we call them? What do we call them? You see core values, isn't it? Those core values define the way things are done in that organization. Then we have values and principles of public service. They guide the public service in delivery of services, and then they are actually well articulated in Article 232 of the Constitution. In the interest of time, I will, because just by touching your phone, you will go to Article 232 of the Constitution, you will see all those values. So I'll not go into details. And our area of emphasis is on national values and principles of governance. So these are some of the categories of values. And I just want to say something, that when the drafters of the Constitution, when they were coming up with these values, they looked at all these values and they picked on 17 national values, which are key in actually impacting the socio-economic and political development of our country. And they are referred as national values, and they are in Article 10 of the Constitution. So, we have looked at the various categories of values and what values are. Then just a brief question. What is the present situation in terms of values practice in Kenya? Where are we? We have 2 trees there. Are we in the first? We have those plants. Are we in the second? And where? Yes. Tuko wapi? You know this, you can do a whole thesis on this. So for those who are interested to do research, this is you can actually formulate a problem statement from those 2 plans. Yes. So where are we? Unajua hatuna time nyingi sana. Where are we? Let's get, yes, please take the microphone to her. Where are we and why? You know, you don't just say we are here. Why?
Hello. Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Melody from Laikipia University. I think where we are at the moment, the second one, the withering one, this is because a couple of weeks ago, from what I observed, we had our parliamentary sitting on a certain amendment, and we saw how our MPs, our leaders at the National Assembly really throwing tantrums to each other, and I really think they're the picture we are looking at on what kind of values we really need to adopt as citizens of this nation. And if they really behaved like that, how sure are we that we are going to handle disagreements or even different opinions from each other, even in the coming elections? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Where are we? I now want a gentleman. You know, values demand that you don't give, you have to look at both. Ladies, gentlemen, otherwise I'm violating the Constitution. Yes, a gentleman to, yes, you wanted to say something? Please give him a microphone. Yes, tell us why. Because this question is very critical at a point like this. Because you have a role to play. So that if things are wrong, you have to come up with ways to ensure that we get things into the right place.
I think we belong in the second photo. Because when you look at the values, for example, patriotism, if Kenyans are patriotic to the country, then we should not be engaging in corruption. Because I believe that if some of us, or most of us, are given a chance to engage in corruption or to steal, I mean, they will. Okay, so that means we're not doing so well in terms of character. Thank you.
Very well. If we are given an opportunity, did you mark that? You look left, right, but most people don't look up. And you are given that money somewhere, you will just disappear with it, isn't it? So we have the potential to be very corrupt, yes. So in the interest of time, we'll do other discussions as we take our tea. So this is just a summary. So where we are, many traditional values have been losing their tradition and religious basis. As a result, this is what we are witnessing: erosion of family values. You realize every time you put on your TV, what do you see? A man has slaughtered the children and the wife. A man has hanged himself. Erosion of family. A father has been killed by a son who wants that piece of land. He did not want to work hard and climb the ladder pole pole. So he's timing when the father will die. So these are the things we have. Poor governance and leadership challenges. Everybody was talking talking about resources not reaching the grassroots. It's about leadership. That is why somebody says that everything rises and does what on? Leadership. This is about leadership. Then we have poor work ethics. People want to smile all the way to the bank, but they don't want to work. They don't want to work. This is where we are, especially in this time where people have been told that you can work virtual. Another day I was actually having a virtual sensitization, and I could see somebody going to the kitchen house and sneaking out of the presentation. I could wait for the person signed in but coming back, and this is a person who's going to earn. So poor work ethics. Our young people don't want to work. They are missing out on so many opportunities. They want a car, Prado, Apple, good house, Apple, poor work ethics. Then we have the inadequate distribution of resources. That complain that resources are not reaching the country, every part of the country. You see, the government is trying. Of course, everybody, even at an individual level, we have shortcomings in terms of resources. We are trying, but the resources are not enough. Some of them can be attributed to poor leadership, a worsening dependence syndrome, and declining sense of personal responsibility. You find young people who have completed university, they don't want to move out of the mother's house. Yes, hawataki na ako 35 years, hataki kutoka kwa mama. I'm telling you, those ones who are my age and above, they can give you their stories. Maybe in future, Madam CEO, you'll give us more time so that we can share our experiences. Declining, this worsening dependence syndrome is the then there have been lack of integrity, and then a number of corruption cases. Of course, you see them every day on media, insecurity, impunity, and also we have this a system that emphasizes. But I want to thank the government that now the government has put a lot of emphasis. Actually, we have come up with the new system, the CBC, isn't it? In the past, I'm not undermining the value of education, whereby students are supposed to excel, but we are saying that we should have an education that not only emphasizes on grades, but also emphasizes on other strong areas of the learner, and that has been done. The government has put in place interventions. Now we have the CBC, and those ones who have young children, you see now they can cook for you, they can do for you a few things here and there. And then abuse of media, especially social media. That is actually, social media is very important. Everything has a strength and it also has a weakness. So social media is very important. Many times social media has been misused. You see a lot of hate speech on social media and all that. So these are all actually characterizes where we are in terms of national values practice in the country. But we have good things too, which we can share. But because we are trying to state the problem, this is where we are. And that's why we as key stakeholders in the promotion of the national values agenda, we need to put in place, we need to stand to be counted in terms of ensuring that these values are mainstreamed in different areas of the society. Then this is also another mismanagement of diversity, especially at a time like this, when we are in the electioneering mood. That neighbor who used to stay with you peacefully, sasa unaanza kuangalia ametoka wapi, na mumekaa na yeye for how many years? 10 years, 5 years, but now we are in this electioneering mood. Utaanza kuangalia ametoka wapi, anaitwa nani, hata huko unakumbuka anaitwa Mwaniki, Kemunto na mwingine, but you start this management of diversity. The eroded value system has continued to create social and economic and political challenges at all levels of the society. This is what is happening, and actually that has impacted negatively on the realization of our the Kenya Vision 2030 that you were taken through yesterday. So I just want the next, whatever, that's a brief on the national values practice. I said earlier that the national values and principles of governance, they are well grounded in the Constitution. And right from the preamble, the Constitution gives emphasis on national values and principles of governance. In the preamble, you can read yourself, whereby it is the dream of every Kenyan to have a country that is actually based on a government that is based on essential values that are mentioned in Article 10 of the Constitution. And as we move further, we move to Article 4. It also talks about the national values. Then we have the Article 10. Article 10 brings out the national values, and that is going to be our area of discussion. And in this Article 10.1, the national values bind all of us. And it's clearly indicated that they bind the state organs, state officers, public officers, and all persons. Anytime you interpret the Constitution, many times the Constitution has been interpreted to suit. I have 20 minutes. Yeah, that is more than enough. Yes, so the Constitution has been interpreted actually to suit the convenience of some people in this country. So anytime, as an individual, as a state officer, as a public officer, as a father, mother, as a leader somewhere, anytime you take the Constitution and interpret, you should ask yourself, is the interpretation in line with the national values? Anytime you apply or interpret any law, you should be guided by these national values. And anytime you make or implement public policy decisions. Yesterday we were talking about policy formulation up to implementation level. Anytime you implement any policy, it should be done in line with Article 10 of the Constitution. And I want to put some emphasis by saying these national values apply to all of us. Many times people think that these national values are just a preserve of ministries, departments, and agencies in government. Even as a father, as a mother, as a brother to somebody, you are bound by these national values. If today you go and violate a young girl's rights to education, you will be in for it because of the national values. So they bind all of us. Nobody is left out. And Article 10.2 of the Constitution clearly articulates the national values. And they are well indicated there, starting from patriotism. I think they were brought out by one of the students who gave us a very nice poem, that from patriotism, national unity, all the way to sustainable development. Because I leave this presentation, I don't want to read every part of this. And there is an area where I'll be talking about why national values are critical in the policy formulation, but because I have the national values here, if you look at these national values, I'll skip that slide later. If you look at these national values, there are quite a number of issues that came out of our discussions from the previous presenters, some of the challenges we are facing this country. And I said it's good this presentation came after the others, because the national values actually are a foundation and they are a solution to all the challenges we are facing this country. And therefore, if you see them the way they are categorized, patriotism, national unity, sharing and devolution of power, the rule of law, democracy, and participation of the people, they are there to answer the question on national identity. Many Kenyans feel left out in this country, but the government is emphasizing that it is important for us to have that Kenyanness in us, to feel that we are Kenyans. Today, if you are outside there, you should raise the Kenyan flag high. So patriotism is very important as love for your country. National unity all the way to participation of the people. So these ones are actually meant to ensure that we can be together as Kenyans and we promote our national identity. You look at human dignity, equity, all the way to protection of the marginalized. Those values are there. Any problem that is related to violation of the Bill of Rights, they are addressed by those national values. I want to summarize because I'm not going to read each one of them. The definitions, you'll get them in your dictionaries. So those values there are meant to address any issues relating to the Bill of Rights, that is Article 43 of the Constitution. So the drafters of the Constitution were very clear. And this is our Constitution, by the way. It's not for those who drafted the Constitution. The preamble says very well that we, the people of Kenya, and finishes by saying we adopt, enact, and do what? Yes, go and read the constitution. So this, our constitution, it brings out the solution to our problems relating to the Bill of Rights. So if we promote these national values at our various levels of the society, the family, the community, the national level, all levels, then we'll be able to sort out any problem relating to the Bill of Rights. Then we have issues on governance, the way institutions are being managed in this country. So the Constitution gives us the value of good governance, integrity, transparency, and accountability. That if each one of us, from the individual level to the corporate level, if we can uphold these values in the programs that we have, the policies that we formulate, any endeavor that we do, if we can be able to be guided by these values, then we will find the solution on governance issues in this country. And finally, we have sustainable development. We have, many times we find Kenyans engaging in activities actually interfere with our long-term socio-economic development. So the value on sustainable development encourages all Kenyans to engage in activities which will benefit this generation and the generations to come. Then we have Article 132 of the Constitution, which actually I did mention to you earlier, which mandates the president to provide, to address the nation every year on what measures and progress achieved in the realization of national values and principles of governance. And these other constitutional provisions I'm going to mention, you read them on your own. So what I've read on constitutional provisions is just to give that emphasis on the space that national values and principles have been given in the Constitution. So I'll briefly take you through the national values, and because what's happening? Okay, so this has been brought well in the various presentations that were made. There is the value of patriotism, uzalendo, and it has come out very well in our discourse. That is, we raised the national flag high. We have national unity, it came out very well. We have sharing and devolution of power. And young people, I want just to say something about this value, which refers to a governance system in which power, political, economic, and social resources are distributed between and among the national and county governments. And this is very good. Many people are complaining that there are some areas of this country that are suffering. This value has enabled actually that resources go down to the grassroots. If you look at Article 174 of the Constitution that talks about the object of devolution, it brings out the intent of sharing and devolution. And if resources have not reached your county, you should be asking the leader above there, because everything is determined by the leadership. And now, young people, we have many opportunities. In terms of power, you can be able to get a lot of opportunities in terms of leadership at the county so that you can transform your county. And therefore, I hope you are, how many minutes? 10 minutes? Very good. Those are many. Young people, take this opportunity. We have political positions, MCA, governor, na nani tena? Na wale wengine wote mnajua. So this value of sharing and devolution, it even ensures that young people have been you have seen many young people coming up and taking leadership positions. So take opportunity and take advantage of this opportunity. Then we have, this is what this is a diagram, this is a representation of what we are talking about. National government, we have the 47 counties, and you see the citizens there. They can be able to get resources. We have the rule of law. Of course, this requires that whatever you do, you should be guided and regulated by the rule of law. The rest, democracy and participation of the people, that one was brought out in the poem. That is important for you to participate in any socio-economic and political interventions in this country. Stand to be counted. We are nearing elections. Please don't sleep when others go to the box. Make a difference by casting your vote. That's one way you can participate. Then we have Those are just human dignity, of course, that needs that we have to respect others. And all this, I'll just go, you'll read on your own. These are social justice. Those are illustrations, inclusiveness, they were brought out. Those are the values in Article 10, rights, human rights. Non-discrimination, protection of the marginalized, good governance. Those are all in the, you can see this. You can see this, what good governance and bad governance is. This is everything. All the problems you are talking about, they revolve around governance. So you can see bad governance is characterized by inefficiency, red tape, maladministration, corruption, secrecy, and you can see good governance is characterized by rule of law, transparency, participation, and all that. So you have a responsibility to ensure that you contribute to the realization of good governance by making sure the leaders you elect, especially as we go into our elections, make a difference so that you don't say, hii serikali ni mbaya. What are you doing as an individual? Then we have integrity. And integrity, you can see, we are saying that your beliefs, your actions, and your words, they should all agree. Don't say this and say do the other one. That is all about integrity. You can read the rest. Transparency and accountability. Yes, we want Kenyans who are able to share information, not people with hidden agenda. You are transiting from here, you'll be occupying offices. Don't be a person of hidden agenda. And we are saying that even as you occupy offices, even at the respective positions you hold, you are obligated to be accountable. Then we have, these are illustrations. Sustainable development, very critical, and this is an area where we need research from the academia. What are the measures we can put in place? When we are talking about sustainable development, you can make reference to our sustainable development goals. Issues of climate change. This is where you need to come in as academia and tell us some of the strategies we can come up with in order to actually mitigate climate change, because it's affecting every other sector in this country. And then I want to go to a very important area. So these ones you read on your own. I'll make sure I share the presentation. Why are values critical in public policy formulation? I've already mentioned earlier, national values and principles of governance are needed for creation of a national identity, protection of the Bill of Rights, good governance, transparency and accountability, and sustainable development. And all the policies we formulate in this country, actually they are meant to address the challenges relating to national identity, protection of the Bill of Rights, good governance, and sustainable development. I think Madam CEO can agree with me. The various researches and surveys you have done, they revolve around this. They are meant to address those challenges relating to the four areas. So values become a critical area in the formulation of policy. So as you do the policies or participating for a policy formulation, right from problem identification to implementation to analysis, review of the policies, you are required to be guided by the national values. You need to interrogate policies that actually come to you in terms of public participation. You should ask yourself, do they promote the 17 national values? And have they followed the values in Article 10 of the Constitution? So I'm finishing. Now we have a role in developing a values culture. I cannot finish my presentation without this. We have a role, and our role here is both as the institutional level as academia and the individual level. At the institutional level, developing a values culture, our role is civic education on national values and principles of governance. I know there are members of staff who are represented here from the various campuses in this program. So kindly take this information to to your various, to the students, to your stakeholders, because you are key stakeholders. Then mainstreaming national values and principles of governance in your educational programs, very critical. There is need for advocacy of value-based principles through relevant media. We have some institutions here which have are they called local FM Mama TVs, television? Is there, does Kabarak have one? Does Kabarak have a TV? Amuna? Muko nayo. Sasa utilize that platform to pass information on national values. Then mainstreaming national values in all the policies, institutional policies. Then we have recognizing and rewarding value champions. So for those members of staff who are here, there are those ones with exemplary performance in terms of values practice. It's important they are singled out or identified and rewarded. And then the others, I think I want to put emphasis on carrying out evidence-based research on values and principles of governance. You know, we learned yesterday that the policies that are done in this country, they are evidence-based. So you can carry out your research and make policy recommendations so that they can be actually informed policy in this country. I'm just finishing. So what is your role? Very critical. The individual is a very critical person, a component in the promotion of national values. Worse is to uphold and live the national values. Refuse to condone actions or missions that undermine national values, and then continuous learning and innovative practice coming to such forums and others on national values is very important, so that you see values are dynamic and you see what are the new developments. So I don't want to dwell so much. This ones you read on your own, but I want, because all of us are leaders, not leaders of tomorrow, leaders of today and tomorrow, isn't it? We were told not to say young people are leaders of tomorrow. You are leaders here. There is need at your various levels of leadership. Demonstrate leadership that enhances the realization of national values. And then I want to summarize the responsibility of the individual by saying, dare to be different. You see that cock there? Many people don't want to transit from this level because sasa ataniona aje, watasema aje, watafanya nini wakiniona I'm adhering or practicing values. So to make a difference in this society, we have to dare to be different. And that statement says that great leaders don't tell you what to do. They show you how it is done. So it starts from you. It starts from you. And we want to say that if we have a values-based society, which from the individual level we need to bring a difference, our Kenya will move from, transform Kenya from there. It's very chaotic. And then the chaotic, you see the corruption you are talking about, the resources that are not reaching the grassroots, we will translate it to this. Kenya Vision 2030. The others were saying it might not be achieved. It is because our interventions are not founded on national values. And therefore, I wish to conclude by saying it all starts with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Elmelda Mogoi, for that wonderful presentation. Ms. Elmelda was supposed to give 2 presentations, but she decided to compress the 2 into 1 presentation, which is why she has had more time. But even so, she has tried and she has done well, telling us about our national values. I think that's a subject that needs to really be emphasized at every level of development of citizens of Kenya. So thank you. Let me request you to give a nice, hearty applause, a round of applause for Ms. Elmelda. Thank you. Thank you so much. We are almost there, almost done. So grateful for your participation. We now want to listen for a minute to Mr. Rogers Amwai. Mr. Rogers Amwai will be saying or reciting a poem? Just within a minute, then we'll go to the next step. Mr. Amwai will introduce himself properly, where he comes from, which department, and then he'll proceed. Please proceed.
Good evening, all. I'm a student at Kabarak University, the School of Business and Economics. My name is Rogers. And by the grace of God for this event, I've got to learn a lot. I'll present a poem which is named The Divided Nation. From our different resident of state, we all move to the election place. Certain of few will go to the House of State. I am convinced this is a peaceful nation. After it all, we hear of corruption. Corruption, corruption, corruption as the main virus killing our nation progress. Me and you, we are the victims of this virus, which is caused by the bacteria of ignorance, leading to the death of development. This is a divided nation. Tell me why politicians commit treason. Tell me why they are not taken to prison. If this is democracy that is practiced in our nation, I'm convinced there will be no transparency in election. This is a divided nation. I think we ought to open our eyes wide and see how money is melting like ice. The embezzlement of funds has humiliated our souls. Discrimination is practiced all over, not only to the fools, but even in schools. This is a divided nation. I wonder how they feel in their hearts when they sing of the national anthem. Justice be our shield and defender. A humble prayer for peace, unity, and justice. Yet on ground they are so hypocritical. They are the agents of discrimination. This is a divided nation. In my class, I feel so frustrated. My friend Anyango is known for Samaki. My girlfriend Wanchiru is known for Waru. And Wafula is known for Ugali. Is this not tribalism? Where are the leaders we elect to enhance unity in us? This is a divided nation. We dream of the Vision 2030. Yes, that is when I'll be 30. We dream of a well-developed nation, a better infrastructure for all, clean water for all, housing for all. I want to tell you this, that a dream will always remain on the bed unless you wake up to work for it. When will we wake up and fight for the vision in our dream and come out of them from the divided nation? As we wait for the oncoming election, let diversity be our culture. Let honesty be our devotion. For I swear it will bring in appreciation. There will be no condemnation. We need to come out of the divided nation. As we wait for the oncoming election, let us strive for all. Let us seek high to God. Let us seek wisdom from Him to elect leaders of wisdom like Solomon, leaders of vision like Habakkuk, not of divided minds like Jeroboam and Rehoboam. We need to come out of the divided nation. Wait, before I leave, a piece of advice from me and you. Do not sell your vote by listening to their foolish things. Make sure that you practice your democracy, that you may come out of the divided nation. My nation is not divided. Your nation is not divided. Shabash.
Thank you, Rogers, for that wonderful poem. I think that seals up Elda's message on the importance of our national values. I wish to recognize and welcome recognize the presence of the DVC Academic and Research, Professor Chola, and the Registrar, our registrars, the Registrar Academic and Research, and our Registrar Human Resource. We are happy that you have found time to join us. We shall entertain 3 questions towards Ms. Elmelda's presentation, just 3 questions from the audience. Then we shall go to the closing ceremony. 3 questions. I'm looking around for the questions. There's 1 question here from Dr. Nyandoro. There's a question from that lady, must be from Laikipia. 2 of them. That will be it. Let's start with yes, please say your name, your institution, and ask the question very briefly.
Sure thing. Good afternoon. My name is Trisha, as you've heard, from Laikipia University. I am studying in the School of Humanities and Development Studies. Yeah. Okay. So my question is, what is the difference between national values and principles of governance? Excuse me. And if there's a difference, how would you differentiate all the 17 pointers? Are they all national values and principles of governance, or are there selected few that are national values and others selected that are principles of governance?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Next.
From Laikipia as well, I'm Melody. My question is, how do we handle, from the current report that we had for 2021, police brutality really played a role in the number of people who really died. So I really wanted to ask, how do you handle such cases? Because it's very different how we do handle a normal citizen mistreating another, and when it is somebody from the top mistreating another person. And we really need this to be actually a picture that citizens can see and be like, you know what, do not do this. So I really want that clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody. We listen to the last question, then Ms. Elmelda will respond.
I would like to know if there are programs for educating politicians on national values. Yeah, because their actions and behavior, which are guided by the values, influence or impact greatly on the masses. For example, when a politician maybe propagates hate speech, that means that politician does not value national unity. That person is not patriotic. So do we have such programs?
Thank you, Dr. Nyandaro. Allow me now to invite Ms. Elmelda to kindly respond to the 3 questions.
Oh, thank you very much for the questions. You know, when questions arise, it means that the participants were very, very attentive. I wish first to address the question on the difference between national values and principles of governance. When we talk about national values, actually they are all of them. But when we are talking about principles of governance, as public officers, we are supposed to be guided by certain standards in order to ensure effective delivery of public services. So when it comes to those who are serving the public, they become principles of governance. They are expectations that Kenyans have as a person, for you or on you as a person serving them, because the constitution is very clear that the office where that public officer is entrusted to that person by Kenyans. So they have expectations. So there are principles that are spelled that you as a public officer, you should adhere to ensure that you realize effective delivery of services. So when it comes to those who are serving citizens, they become principles of governance. Then when it is for the common mwananchi, there are national values, all of them up to sustainable development. So I may not draw, for example, for those of us who are serving the public, we need to practice the value of good governance, isn't it? So because you are entrusted with resources, You are entrusted with an institution to manage. So the value of good governance comes, you have to ensure that the resources entrusted to you are well managed so that they are able actually to serve you are able to use the resources to deliver services to the Kenyans. And the value of transparency and accountability, all public institutions are required to ensure that they share information to Kenyans on what they are doing, except for that information that is classified. Of course, if information from a certain institution has not reached you, that information is not supposed to be released to the public because it can cause a lot of chaos in this country. So we have principles of governance. The standards that those who are serving Kenyans in various positions are supposed to adhere to in order to ensure delivery of services. I hope that is well answered. And then there is a question that came out, and the question is on what we are doing to handle police brutality. And actually that is violation of human rights, violation of the value of dignity. I just want to say that this government has various organs that are mandated to deal with various aspects that come out in the society. For example, the police, our business is to sensitize Kenyans on the values that they are supposed to uphold to ensure that we coexist as citizens. So our work is to give policy direction. This is what you're supposed to do, and these are the values. But now the National Police Service Commission comes in, so they have their businesses on how to handle the what? Of the police brutality. We have the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, because this police brutality is a human right issue, isn't it? So any cases of violation of human rights, even among yourselves, there are relevant institutions that have been established by governments to handle. So when I come here, I handle what is within my area of what? Jurisdiction. But my work is to sensitize you that uphold and protect the rights of others. Okay. Then the last question is whether we have programs on educating politicians. Yes, I remember there is a time, some years back, we took all politicians to Mombasa, and we actually sensitized them. By then, the national values had not come out in the constitution. So we sensitized them on national cohesion, because national cohesion is about respecting others and actually trying your best to ensure that you coexist with the other Kenyans. But I want to tell you that one day these politicians will transform, because transformation is progressive. You don't change within a day. And let me tell you one thing before I leave this place. Many times we complain about politicians. A few months from now, we are going to the debe, isn't it? So are you going to make any changes? Because when I was a young girl in the 1970s and 1980s, I was born long time, we used to say so and so is bad. So I longed for a day when that person could get out of power, so that this person who's saying this person is bad could take over and things change. But I've not seen that. So what means change comes from us, and that is why I indicated in my presentation that all starts with you. We need to play a role in transforming the leadership of this country, so that politician akienda na wewe ukichukua hiyo kiti, will you be guided by the national values? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Elmelda. I think you have done justice, a lot of justice to the questions. And we are grateful for the presentation well made. We have learned, and we hope to continue with the conversation on the various social media platforms. We are now drawing towards a conclusion of this event. And at this juncture, we want to begin officially the closing ceremony. At the beginning of this event, we had objectives, which at the completion of the event, we needed to have achieved all the objectives. And now we want to listen to Mr. Victor Mose. Mr. Victor Mose is from kippra, the Kenya Institute of Public Policy Research and Analysis, to do an evaluation of the objectives. Mr. Victor Mose.
Thank you very much, Bwana Moderator, for the opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, as the moderator said, we are coming to the end of our function or our workshop, and it's always good to take stock of what we have done so far and whether we have achieved the objectives of the function. First, I want to make an announcement that yesterday there was an evaluation which was shared to all the participants. Kindly fill in the form such that we're able to get the feedback from the participants on the areas we have strength and the areas we need to improve on. And perhaps your feedback will be able to help us enhance the program, because we cannot claim to have a monopoly of ideas. Remember, we were told that we all have a role to play, and our innovative ideas can improve our program. And that's what we want to welcome first and foremost. Today, you will also receive another evaluation form for the second day, such that we also know how our program is running. Yeah, so I'm going to spend around 5 minutes to do this, and that is evaluation of the workshop objectives. One of the objectives we wanted to achieve today, this function, is to exchange views on public policy making process and the prospects of Kenya economic recovery in the post-pandemic era, as the COVID era, through the Big Four agenda. So I may want some more mics at the back. We want to assess whether we have achieved these. Students who can tell us how we are able to achieve that objective. Is there something you can relate to that objective from what we have had for the 2 days? How are we able to achieve that objective? Participation is key. It makes me feel that something is happening. Yes? Yes, there's one hand here. Thank you. That lady on the other side says yes.
Hello once again.
Your name and the year and the university, that would be great.
Okay. My name is Trisha from Laikipia University. I'm a first year. I think one of the biggest ways that we can recover and solve and move forward and ensure that the Big Four agenda is achieved is eradicating corruption. I feel like that is one of the major problems that we're experiencing. Once we eradicate it, we'll be able to move a step forward. Thank you.
Okay, that's what she's been able to say in the way forward. So how else were we able to achieve this on public policy making process, for instance? Yes, next to that gentleman there, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
This is Brian Ochieng from the School of Law, Kabarak University.
Yes.
So I want to give a comment about the second objective pertaining the economic recovery in the post-pandemic era through the Big Four agenda.
How did we achieve that objective during the 2 days?
Yeah, we achieved the objective during the 2 days. First of all, we did it through the research that had been stipulated to the students, and through the debate, the participation of the general people. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, we also made a presentation on public making process. You remember that presentation? So I think that objective, now that we've gotten feedback, and go to the second one. We were also to share perspectives on Kenya National Development Goals and agenda in order to stimulate research in these areas in order to assist Kenya's development agenda. So were we able to share Kenya National Development Goals and agenda, and how did we achieve this from the students' perspective? How are we able to achieve this? Yes, I have a hand here. Thank you very much, that gentleman. You can still keep your hand up to be seen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Nderitu from Public Health, Kabarak University.
Yes,
I believe about the research and helping Kenya in the development agenda, there was a presentation on innovations. I guess that shed light that we can share in the development agenda, even at a student perspective, that while in school we can start innovations and we can contribute to the larger goal of Kenya's development goal in manufacturing and other industries. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, about the innovations which can contribute to the development agenda. What else, what presentation were you taken through for purposes of capturing the national agenda? Who can remember? I have a hand at the back. Thank you for doing some physical exercise. Yeah, this is the land where people are athletes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Omar Gaddafi of the School of Pharmacy, Kabarak. How we have achieved the objective is because we have shared the medium and long-term goals, development goals, and we also looked at the problems we experience during the implementation and also the involvement of citizens as we implement the goals. So as such, I see we have made to reach the objective. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So we were able to say one or two development goals. And remember, we had a presentation by two key institutions in the national planning. And that was the State Department for Planning under the Ministry of the National Treasury and the Planning, as well as Vision 2030. So we are aware of the Vision 2030. There was also the State Department for Planning, which made a presentation on the planning process of the national agenda. I think that is great. So the other objective was to create awareness of national values and the principles of governance. How are we able to achieve this, and what did you learn? I have another hand here, quick one. We need to do this quickly because I know I don't have a lot of time.
My name is Anastasia Cherotich from Law School Kabarak.
Yes, Anastasia.
So we've learned that through the presentation by Ms. Imelda on national values and principles of governance. And the main thing that I've learned is on the principle of public participation, sustainable development, and how they can be used so as to achieve the agenda that we have set. Maybe the 2030, Vision 2030 can be achieved through ensuring that each and every one of us plays their role, e.g. in avoiding corruption and involving people in public participation and all that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you very much. So you can promise us that if when you finish school or you finish university and then you go for an interview in a government institution, and one of the questions asked there, can you name 4 national values and the principles of governance? I hope you will not fail that question. Then it has 5 marks. You just say, ta, 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 ta. They're like, how come? You must have attended this program, is it? So the books which we shared, remember we also shared some booklets on national values, the 17 of them. Please take time to go through them. Go to the website of the directorate. They have explained much more, and so on and so on. So that objective was to provide a forum for learning and exchange of information, particularly for students interested in a career of public policy. Hope we were able to interact. We've been able to interact with our government officers, seasoned and experienced in the national agenda, and also the private sector. So that forum and that interaction during the Q&A sessions must have opened our eyes in one way or another in what we were achieving. Yeah, and I know through this forum you have been able to see what is the niche for universities, especially in the public policy making process. So the other objective was to have a better understanding of innovative concepts related to the Big 4 agenda, Vision 2030 and sustainable development. I think we have also been able to achieve this. Unless, is there somebody who wants to, maybe we can go for that quickly? I'm trying to move faster. How are we able to achieve that? Yeah, I can see. Let me not close your participation. A quick one.
My name is Lewinsky from Law School, Kabarak University.
You must have come from Russia. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, for the Big Four agenda, I think the debate really played a very big role in the Big Four agenda, because when the debaters are debating, we as the listeners are also trying to really get to understand the concept, not just following what they are telling us. So I think it really sank deep because of the debate.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for that. And so on, so the other function, the other objective was to have a better understanding of government opportunities for youth employment creation prospects and national government support for the youth. How are we able to achieve this as well? By show of hands, I have a hand here, and the next to her.
Good evening. My name is Gina Lilian Kabarak. That actually the government has more opportunities for the youth, and the problem is on our side. So we are the ones who are to fight for our space, so that we don't have to keep on blaming that there are no job opportunities while we actually don't look for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So we had several presentations here from the National Youth Council, from the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, from the UN Youth arm of the UN, also the Presidency Youth Liaison Office, and which was the other one? So we were able to have those presentations, and in the process we know, and we're also empowered actually on how we can pursue our careers and so on. So importantly, you've said it's us to fight for our space. That fight is not physical. Sindio? That fight is organizing yourself, take your education, know how to make your CV, know how to go out to search for opportunities, and when you are called for interviews, prepare yourself. That is the fight we are talking about. And in innovation, continue doing innovation. Once innovation, you make a breakthrough, or even when you are at the early stages, get to your professors, get to your people who are in the innovation hubs, get registered. That is the fight I think we were talking about. We also wanted to enlighten students or ourselves on the world of work and career expectations. A quick response to that. How are we able to achieve that objective? You can see Lewinsky wants to go again. Is there? And there's let's start from that gentleman at the back before we come to Lewinsky.
Good evening again. I'm Momar Gaddafi, the Ambo School of Pharmacy, Kabarak.
What? Yes, go ahead, sir.
So to enlighten us on the world of work and career expectations,
Yes.
we were enlightened on the requirements in the pre-work, the work area, and on how to organize ourselves in terms of curriculum vitae, interviews, and also the expectations that the employers want for us today to work. So at least I've been enlightened so that after my bachelor's degree, when I'll go outside to serve, now I'll know what the world expects from us and also from the career I'm pursuing. At least I've been told what to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lewinsky, do you have the mic there? A quick one?
Yes, just to give a backup to Mohammed, by the presentation from Miss Dorcas, and then also Miss Maureen, because she's young and also almost close to us, by telling us that you need to really work hard and follow our dreams and know that you're not limited. At least there's something to give us an eye-opener of what is expected of us.
Thank you very much. So, in the interest of time, because you've raised your hand, let me allow you to say. This is Josh. Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Okay, this is Kome, Kabarak Law School. So in addition to what Lewinsky and Mohammed have said, apart from the discussions we've had, also, I believe that objective was attained through the Q&A session we had, whereby there's a student who asked, how do you balance the values that are expected at the workplace versus the personal values? And I think it was very well responded to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I also learned that I need to keep my hair black when I'm going for the interviews. And I also need to be careful whether to put my photo or not, because somebody may say I'm too handsome and I don't fit that particular institution. Is it? Or I have so many of my makeup, and maybe somebody's from a very thorough background where lipstick is only charcoal. So I think we have met that objective, especially also in the part of branding, that you can brand yourself. And the image you will create will also be able to open the doors for you. Now, to enable I also want to enable the formation of a research and policy publication. I want us to achieve this by making this announcement that one of the objectives we want to achieve through this campus program is to establish a club at the university level where students who have an interest in public policy, research, and publications are able to get a platform for them to be able to get to be trained, to have the skills in development of in participation. And therefore, you'll be called upon for those who have an interest to be able to, through the university internal policies, you'll be able to find, to establish such a club, and the kippra will be able to support you by capacity building and other ways which will be able to do so within our means. So that is the announcement I wanted to make, and I hope we have achieved that objective. Okay, thank you very much. So the last objective was to network. Did you network? Laikipia? RVCT? Arvist. 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 That's the only thing everybody now will wake up. Thank you very much. Egerton, did you network among yourselves and also across? Because one other thing we always want to achieve that objective, that's why we call students from the neighborhood of the host institution for purposes of exchanging and getting to know that my height is not so high from what other students are in the other universities. All right? That interaction and even behavior and even how the school at the university looks like and many other things. And you could see we were having presentations from Rift Valley Institute for Science and Technology and Egerton, Laikipia, and you see it was like a competition, but we want to encourage already those who, I know, those who are presenting here already have exchanged contacts outside there, because by so doing, they know how to interact and enhance their career. That interaction is very important, and so on. So then collaboration, students, public, and also, and I know after this, some of our guests will be around. Please, I saw you talking to them during lunchtime and so on. That is interaction we wanted to encourage. Take their contacts, be in touch, and I hope by so doing, you as young and the future of this country, you will be able to be so empowered and will see a change in the future. So I think, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. I had promised 5 minutes, and I hope I've simply taken 5 minutes.
I can confirm that you took 5 minutes Kenyan time. Thank you, Mr. Victor Mose, for adequately taking us through a recap of the objectives that were relevant to this event. We now move to the next item, and the next item is award of certificates. After this, we'll get a vote of thanks, then we'll go to the closing remarks. I thought I should let you know how the closing program is flowing so that we can know what to expect next. So under award of certificates, we shall have 28 students who participated in a way or another in this event. We have students who participated in essay competition. We have some who prepared and presented poems, songs, and spoken word. I think we have been able to see and listen to their performances, and we were entertained. I have a very rare opportunity to invite the following persons to kindly come up to the podium. This is a very rare opportunity, a very rare privilege. Mr. Victor Mose is asking me to request students who are expecting to be awarded certificates to kindly come up outside for award with him. If you know you've participated in a way or another in the SC competition, poems, songs, and spoken word, kindly rise up and step outside so you can have a word with Mr. Victor Mose. Please do so gently, and don't move so far away from the door because you're the guys who are featuring in this item. I was saying I have a rare privilege to kindly request the following very important people to come to the podium so that they can facilitate the award of certificates to the various students. And the first person is Dr. Nafula. Dr. Nafula, kindly come up to the podium. And Dr. Nafula will be in charge of that podium. She will give guidelines to the other members I'm going to be inviting. The second person is the board member, kippra, Mr. Samuel Gitaru. Thank you, sir. The next person is the ED, kippra, the executive director, Dr. Ross Ngugi. And the last person is the DVC Academic and Research, Kabarak University, Professor John Ochola. That was a rare privilege, and I thank God for it. I now request Dr. Nafula to kindly guide Thank you. Thank you. I was just confirming that the students are ready. We have a list of 28 students. I have been told that the first 15 shall be awarded by the DVC, Professor Ochola. The first 15 shall be given or awarded certificates by the DVC, Professor Ochola. And the second 14 shall be given the certificates by the board member. The first student is Adeline Chelagat Kipto. Adeline Chelagat Kipto. Thank you for that applause. Congratulations, Adeline, and thank you for participating. Thank you. A round of applause for her. All right. The second student is Amuli Kevin Anikea. Amuli Kevin Anikea. Congratulations, Kevin, and thank you for participating. A hearty round of applause, please. Thank you. The third student is Brian Ocheng Abor. Brian Ocheng Abor. Thank you, Brian. And congratulations to you. Round of applause, please. The fourth student is Eugene Felix Ocheng. Eugene Felix Ocheng. The fifth student is Kurgat Belinda. Kurgat Belinda. Congratulations, Kurgat. And thank you for participating. A round of applause for Kurgat, please. Thank you. Nelly Stacy Jepchumba. Nelly Stacy Jepchumba. Thank you, Jepchumba, for participating. A round of applause, please. Ocheng Vivian Akinyi. Ocheng Vivian Akinyi. Terry Mora Ombati. Terry Mora Ombati. Thank you, Terry, for taking part in this event. A round of applause for Terry. Vivian Chepchumba. Vivian Chepchumba. Thank you, Vivian, for participating in this event. A round of applause, please, for Vivian. Akoyu Mulongo Bridget. Akoyu Mulongo Bridget. Thank you, Bridget. And a round of applause for Bridget. Thank you. Number 11 is Anderson Mwaura. Anderson Mwaura. Thank you, Anderson, for participating in the event. A round of applause for Anderson. Karen Imani Mange. Karen Imani. Thank you, Karen, and congratulations. Thank you. Number 13 is Chwala Elvis Sinja. Chwala Elvis Sinja. Thank you, Chwala, for participating. And congratulations on that award. 14 is Claire Chelimo Ruto. Claire Chelimo Ruto. Thank you, Claire. Thank you for participating. In a round of applause for Claire. And number 15 is Florius Ouma Olo. Florius Ouma Olo. And thank you, Florius, for participating. A round of applause for Florius. The next round of 14 shall now be given the certificates by the board member, Kippra. Thank you, Professor Ochola, for that work. Number 16 is Fred Kirata. Fred Kirata. Thank you for participating, Mr. Fred. A round of applause for Fred, please. George Omondi Ogango. George Omondi Ogango from Arvist. Thank you, George, for participating. A round of applause for George. Koome Joshua. Koome Joshua. Thank you, Koome, for taking part in this event. A round of applause for Koome. Kurgat Jerop Belinda. We'll skip that. Number 20 is Levat Onyango Odira. Levat Onyango Odira, thank you, Onyango, for the role you played. A round of applause for Onyango, please. Lilian Gina. Lilian Gina. Thank you, Lilian, for participating. A round of applause for Lillian. Moses Ogoti. Moses Ogoti. Moses Ogoti is the Secretary General of KUSO. Thanks, Mr. Secretary General, for participating. Muturi M. Daniel. Muturi M. Daniel. Thank you, Muturi. A hearty round of applause for Muturi, please. Nyagucha K. Abigail. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you. A hearty round of applause for Abigail. Nino Joshua Oyengo. Precious Kiptum Jepkonga. Precious Jepkonga, thank you, Precious. Thank you for participating. A hearty round of applause. Thank you. I'm told the rest of the participants are not here, so they will receive their certificates as when they become available. Thank you so much for taking part. Our dear students, this event would not have been properly done if you did not participate. Thank you. I am advised or reminded that I kindly request the three leaders to still come up for a joint photo with the students. Kindly. So students, kindly come over. I request you to hurry up, students, because of time, please. Thank you. I think that's done. Thank you, students, for participating. Can we give a round of applause to our students, please? All right. We're almost there. Let me now invite Mr. Ken Kiptanui, who works with kippra, to kindly come and move a vote of thanks. Mr. Ken Kiptanui. Can we give a round of applause to Mr. Ken?
Thank you very much, Bwana MC Daktari. We have come to almost the conclusion of this wonderful mentorship program, and it is my honor and my pleasure to stand here to move a vote of thanks. But first of all, just before we go, I want to add a few people on that list, and it is by one quick activity that I want you to do. Could each and every one of you take out your phones? I know you had Wi-Fi here today. So just take out your phones and go onto your favorite social media handle. Is it Twitter? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it on YouTube? And please follow, like, subscribe to one of those channels. We have all those that were here on the screen, kippra, at kippra Kenya, everywhere. And I know because you're here, you must be following Kabarak University. We want to do that because we want you to increase the network by reposting, by sharing the activities you see there. So please do that right now so that you can be part of the list of people I'm giving thanks to today. Anyone who has done it? Where? Twitter? Perfect. Who else? Is that YouTube? Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Create that network. I know this is how you do the things you do. This is how you get the information you get. Follow all those channels. Follow us on all our other mentorship programs and participate. Join us and please make this as big as we intend it to be. Therefore, Professor Henry Kiplagat, the Vice Chancellor at Kabarak University, Professor John Uchola, DVC Academic and Research, Dr. Rose Ngogi, the Executive Director of kippra, partners and representatives from the government and private sector present, faculty members and students of Kabarak University present, faculty members and students of Egerton University, Laikipia University, Kenya Highlands University, and Rift Valley Institute of Science and Technology present, kippra staff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I believe that we've had a fruitful 2 days of learning, interacting, and networking, and that the objectives of this workshop have been achieved. It is my earnest honor and pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this kippra Kabarak University KMPUS event. First and foremost, I would like to sincerely thank the Vice Chancellor of Kabarak University, Professor Henry Kiplangat, for agreeing to host this auspicious occasion, the faculty and planning committee at the university for making this event as successful as it was. I'd also like to thank our distinguished guests from various institutions for their insightful and motivating remarks. I will mention some names. Ms. Ada Mongola from Vision 2030 Secretariat, Ms. Linda Onyango of SME Support Center, Ms. Ruth Wanjiru of the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, Ms. Judith Onyango of the State Department for Planning, Peter Winu from the National Youth Council, Ms. Maureen Mutai from the Youth Programs and Liaison Office at the Presidency, Mrs. Dorcas Wainaina, OGW of Global HR Transformations, and Ms. Elmelda Mogoi of the Directorate of National Cohesion and Values. Much gratitude goes to students of Kabarak University who participated in the essay, spoken word, and poem writing. You took part in an interesting and very animated policy debate that we saw yesterday. You showcased your talents and in-depth understanding of our national values and the development agenda of Kenya to us. I urge you to nurture those talents and to continue to use them for the entertainment and education, what we call edutainment. My heartfelt gratitude goes out to our board member, Mr. Samuel Gitau, and our executive director, Dr. Rose Ngugi. We are grateful for your continued support and unwavering support that you have accorded to this KMPUS program. This program is a great milestone towards inspiring informed youth participation in public policy and the national development. My gratitude also goes out to the kippra planning team for your dedication and selfless commitment in planning and organizing this successful event. Students, the students from Kabarak University, Erosion University, Kenya Highlands University, the Rift Valley Institute of Science and Technology, it has been an honor and immense pleasure to meet and interact with you throughout this workshop. It is my hope that this will be the beginning of new perspectives, efforts, and your involved participation in public policy and development issues. Lastly, I would like to express my deep respect and gratitude to all the event participants from gracing this occasion and becoming part of the kippra Kabarak KMPUS fraternity. To those of you who are traveling back to respective engagements, may you have a safe journey. I am very grateful for you all in participating in this event, and it is my hope that it has met your expectations, and I am looking forward to future interactions in various fora. May God bless you.
Thank you, Ken, for moving the vote of thanks. We now go to the very last session of this event. And this session is we will be listening to remarks from our leaders. At this moment, therefore, please help me invite Dr. Rose Ngugi, the Executive Director, kippra, to kindly come forward and make her remarks. Dr. Ngugi will then cascade it down to the board member, kippra. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Can we greet one another at the back? Just wanted to make sure that we are all together as we come to the end of this very wonderful 2 days. I want to recognize the presence of our DVC, Professor Ogola, our board member, kippra, Mr. Samuel Gitau, all the guests that we had invited, our partners, students. We really appreciate the 2 days that we have been together. And we have come to learn from each other. I've learned from the students that can't, should not be the language that should drive us every day, but instead it is we shall, we can, we will. That is what I have learned. I've also learned from the presenters that one, you have to fight for your space. All starts with you and me, and that we must dare to be different. As we come to the end of this two-day session, I don't want to add what has been said before. I just want to remind you that we have a kippra annual regional conference that we are organizing for June. We have a call for papers. Please respond to that call for papers. My second thing I wanted to ask you all is that we've not covered all students in the various universities, institutions represented here. We learned that Kabarak University has more than 10,000 students. In that regard, I would urge all of you to make at least 5 contacts with those who didn't attend this function so that they can also learn what you've learned here. That would help us to spread the word, and it will help us to actually meet our mission of bringing all stakeholders to the table to discuss various matters. With these few remarks, I would want to, at this juncture, welcome the board member, kippra, Mr. Samuel Gitau, to actually come and give his closing remarks and words of wisdom to all of us. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Good evening. I think it's the style to say let's wave so that we are together. Thank you very, very much. Maureen, our youth delegate to the United Nations, told us that youth is a stage. And when she said that, she made me recollect something I learned when I was an undergraduate. We used to study government. Today I know it's called political science. And when we were learning about the philosophers, Socrates and Aristotle, we were told that communities are made by individuals, and also states are made by individuals. In that context, policy becomes very, very important, because as you sit here, you are part of a specific faculty or a school. I have had people from the School of Law. So as individuals, you make that school. As individuals, you make that faculty. And as individuals, we make our county, and we make our great nation, Kenya. And Kenya is one of the countries in the entire global setup. Where am I heading? I'm heading because all the discussion we've been discussing here is about ensuring that our welfare as individuals, as communities, and as nations is improved. Now, Kenya, like I've said, is one country in the global context, and we compete for the global resources. Hence the reason why policy becomes very important. Because if we do not formulate good policies, then what happens is that we as a nation, and of course, if you go back to Aristotle, as individuals, our welfare will be at the rock bottom. I therefore want to conclude by saying that what you've learned here is very important, and you need to apply it in this stage where you are as a youth and progressively in your life. I also learned a model when I was an undergraduate. And in fact, I did one of my papers on that model. It's called the rationality model. The rationality model simply is about saying that whatever I do, I will make sure that I consider all the tenets of rationality. Because if you are a good person, and I'm happy that Kabarak is a university anchored on biblical values, we have added this forum with the issues of values and principles of governance. And therefore, rationality becomes very important when you are making policy. Now, policy, like I said yesterday, when I was making the opening remarks, it starts right from the individual level. And what I'm saying is, can we apply what we have learned here in doing rational policies for ourselves as individuals, even as we study, for our faculties, for our groups, for our churches, for our communities, for our counties, and for Kenya? So let us think policy together. That is our motto or our vision in kippra. Let us think policy together in a rational way and also anchored on biblical values. I want to end by thanking the university management, led by Professor Henry Kiplangat. We are very, very grateful on behalf of the kippra board. We are very, very grateful for accepting to host this 11th forum of the KMPUs. And we look forward, like we said yesterday and we've repeated today, to having that progressive collaboration yielding results. And finally, just to observe that because I am a lover of nature, I truly liked the way this university is very clean and you have very good vegetation. So, to all of us, may God bless us, and may we now nurture the collaborations and the networks that we've created here together. God bless you. Now I have the singular honor to invite Professor Ochora to come and close this event. Tumpigie makofi mzuri as he comes.
Thank you, my brother, kippra board member, Dr. Ngugi, our CEO at kippra. All protocols observed. Good evening, everyone. I know you are very tired after sitting here for long hours, so I will not take a lot of time. just a few remarks on behalf of the Vice Chancellor. First of all, I would like to convey apology from the Vice Chancellor, Professor Henry Kiplangat. He wanted very much to be with us here this evening to witness the closing ceremony, but because of another demanding task on his time, he could not make it. So he conveys his sincere apology. I also would like to compliment and congratulate all of you. You have done exceptionally well. All the workshop participants. Your resilience is, we can see it. We opened this workshop yesterday morning, and already we are at the end of the second day. And it seems like you have just spent a few hours here. And you have been very patient and also quite active and vigorous in the learning process you have gone through. And I could see that it was quite rigorous. So on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I would like to compliment and thank all of you for doing this. I can see even in our midst, some people who are quite senior in the university, seated here very patiently, and I can recognize the presence of Professor Jackson John Kitetu, the Dean of the School of Science, Engineering and Technology, seated here and absorbing all this that have been taught here. Thank you, Prof. I also came with a few members of management. Some of them had to go back to their classes because we have classes. But those who are here, we thank you for your presence. I can see Dr. Anthony Somba, our Registrar for Academic Affairs and Research. Doctor, you can just stand up and wave. I can also see Reverend Dr. Eunice Njenga, our Acting Dean of Students. And there are others, but as I have mentioned, they have gone back. The key message I wanted to bring from the Vice Chancellor, it was a long one, but I will summarize it maybe in 3 parts. The first one, the Vice Chancellor urges all of us participants in this workshop, now that you have learned all these good things, it will not be of much help if you just learn it and keep it in your brains and let it gather dust there. So what the Vice Chancellor is saying, go and be and become doers. Go and put into practice what you have learned. The way you are adorning those beautiful t-shirts that were given to us by kippra, also adorn the values that you have learned here in your heart and go and put it into practice. And I would also add that this would look very nice in your resume or in your CVs because you have added value to what you have learned, what you are learning in your various institutions. So put this in your resume, it will take you a long way. That is the first thing the Vice Chancellor wanted to mention. The second one he wanted to mention is to thank the institutions that sent their delegates to this conference, starting with Kabarak University, our sister institutions like Laikipia University, Egerton University, Kenya Highlands, and then I had somebody mentioning a very good name of Arvist. How did you pronounce it? Arvist. But it can also be Arvist. Yeah, thank you very much. The Vice Chancellor really acknowledges your presence in our university and your participation in this conference. The Vice Chancellor also expresses his deep appreciation to kippra for mounting this workshop here in the university. Thank you for choosing us to become your partners in hosting this workshop. And the Vice Chancellor says that let this not be the end. Let us continue with the journey we have started, because we are doing this in the interest of building our nation and building our people. So this is just but the beginning. So let us continue working together like this, even in hosting future conferences. And then, finally, but not the least, the Vice Chancellor expresses deep appreciation to our Directorate of Research, Innovation, and Outreach, led by Dr. Moses Thega. Compliments. Dr. Moses Thega, please stand up. Receive compliments from the Vice Chancellor, yourself, assisted by Madam Faith Yatori. Madam Faith, are you in the congregation? Yes. Receive special a special recognition from the Vice Chancellor. And your team, I have seen Dr. Michael Walekwa has led us very ably, Daktari. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know you are ready to go home. We want to release you in good time so that you have enough time to reach your destination. May God bless you. As we begin the year 2022, we have started it on a very positive note, and it will continue to remain productive, and we'll end it on a positive note. Take our greetings to your respective institutions, and with those few remarks, I would like to, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor who opened this workshop, I now declare it officially closed.
Thank you, sir, for officially closing this event. I now wish to invite Dr. Nafula to give us a closing prayer. And as she comes, as Dr. Nafula comes, just a reminder to the students who wish to participate in the club to kindly go to the registration desk after this. So as we move out, students who want to participate in the club, please remember to register yourself at the registration desk. Thank you, Dr. Nafula.
Thanks very much, Dr. Alejo. It was an ambush, but it's a prayer. I'll pray. May we all arise and give thanks to God. Okay, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Almighty Father, we come to you this evening. We want to thank you, Lord, because we called you as we began our sessions, Lord. We have had very good discussions, Lord, and we trust, Lord, that whatever we have learned from this interaction, we'll be able to make use of it, and we'll also be able to share it even with the others who did not make it to be here. Lord, as we leave this place, we have a number of participants who will be traveling back to their destinations. Lord, we pray that may you give them journey mercies wherever they are going. Lord, for those who are remaining here, Lord, we also pray that may you keep them safe and meet their needs. I pray this, and I believe that it is in Jesus' name I've prayed. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.